Two Martins.
Hugh Martins.
Recording
Can
has
you hear
started.
me?
Yes.
I thought they were Swifts a minute, but no.
Okay, so
Swifties.
thank you everyone for coming to the environment. Can I just check, are we quoruming? We've got
We've got the three. We've
councillors.
got three. Yes, yes.
So, are we recording and we're live?
We're recording.
So I've got apologies from Sarah and Carrie, but I've heard nothing from Amelia or Mickey, Chris, Peter.
Mickey did send a WhatsApp message just now,
All right, okay.
just saying he's away at the moment. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Right, okay, yes, brilliant, yep. Okay, so so I've not heard anything from Chris, or Peter, or Amelia, and with regards to Fion then, so Fion is obviously co-opted for Plaster Pre Mumbles, and I think at the last meeting we started to have a conversation about Enya maybe taking her place, because I don't think she's been to a meeting for about, it's a long time now, isn't it?
Yeah, do you want me to take an action to progress that conversation with them?
Yes.
So she wasn't able to come to the event on Thursday, but yeah, I think there's a few kind of plastic free mumbles related things, perhaps for a future agenda,
Yeah.
that I think she,
Yeah.
we need to see progress really before we can be kind of pushing for plastic free mumbles to send a co-opted member. Does that make
Fine,
sense?
I think that makes sense. I think because the email string last time was Sarah saying, she really wanted to join, and I said, well, it's totally up to them, isn't it? It's totally up to them who they field. It's it's not for me to say, it's for them to decide, not for me to decide.
Yeah. I hadn't got that impression from her, but I haven't explicitly asked the question. I just the conversation we had was around some of those bits of projects that are still outstanding, and it's been quite a while, and I just want to kind of get those over the line, and then they'll have renewed energy. I think.
Well, so can you ask, sorry,
I just want to clarify who Rebecca's asking.
Enya Smith.
Ennea. Smith, the usual.
Okay. To replace Theo.
Yeah,
Okay.
no, she's trying to find accommodation, and I think that's part of the, she's got loads of stuff going on. So she's trying to move.
They got
Yeah.
kind of roasted from their flat. They were saying that the landlord said I needed.
That's so bad, I know, I feel it's dreadful, yeah. Okay, so apologies, Sarah, Carrie, Mickey, declarations of interest? Okay, so minutes of the last meeting, and then we'll go to actions. At page 1. That's me. Do you want to just, Ian, in terms of apologies, do you want to just add Lydia?
Well, just to add the councillors. I don't bother with co-opted members or officers.
Plus about the
That's what I was
convention.
That's what I was told to do anyway.
Right, it's a convention, happy days. Oh, there we are, yep, okay, then. Do anything from anyone in terms of accuracy or?
I wasn't happy.
So that's 3 and final page. Accuracy all looks great, Ian. Yeah, so 5,
Propose.
anyone happy to?
Lovely.
Do you want to take us through the actions then, Ian?
Shall I run through those, Chair? Right, the first one, I'll just obviously do the outstanding ones. Action number 2, Councillor Nelson to explore options relating to the siting of a gazebo in Clown Park.
Yes, it's all ongoing and.
That's ongoing.
So there's no update since I updated the meeting last time.
Do you want me to leave it for a couple of months, or?
Yeah, bring it up in
June?
May or June.
May.
I think everyone knows where that's left.
Otherwise, they keep coming up each month, don't they?
it needs planning permission, and that's now been taken forward by Friends of Klein Garden.
Okay.
They were told we initially didn't need it, and then we were told we did need it.
The next one is number 21, which is again yourself and Lydia, regarding Mumbles Buzz and Bloom, to compile a final list of categories, suitable judges, and approach external judges, such as Tybjon.
Categories, but we'll cover judges.
Is that complete now, or? So it's
It's
Ongoing, yeah.
21.
Yeah.
Next month. Good. 23. With regard to the environmental grants, Whitestone School to be chased up, and I've got here, Councillor Erasmus has been updated by Councillor Fogarty. Action deferred. I haven't got any update from Pam. With
I
that.
would say that can be closed now, can't it?
Right, then, let me have a look. See if I can-
Says that
23.
I think we,
That's going to be
certainly my and definitely Sarah's understanding was that had schools not applied by this point, as in
okay.
today, then we would probably be looking to close that off because of financial year coming to an end and things.
Okay.
Well,
That applies to the next one as well. Then.
So I've had an application from it.
Great, so it's only closed.
So 23 and 24 I'll close.
Did you get one, Rach?
Spoken to Swindale, very from there.
Yeah, I got one from Grange.
Great.
I got one.
Yeah, I've shown those.
They wanted it for a vegetable patch.
I know, I've chased them up so many times, so like,
Right.
I rang
All
them.
the horses, I emailed Mrs. Trick. She was, you know, so no, I will do
Yeah,
it.
it's just Swindale and Newton that I've not had them from.
Chair, are you happy if I close those two then, Chair? Yeah.
Not Swindale,
Oh, okay.
but yes, the right thing.
No, no, it's actually already closed.
Yeah,
The action is.
Okay, or
I've done
yeah,
send-
sorry, the Grange one you can close.
I can close the Grange and Whitestone. Yeah,
Yeah.
those two. Those are the two outstanding actually. So that's good. Can I go to the next one, Helen, or not?
Yeah.
Number 29. Lydia Graham to liaise with Claire Anderson over signs. I think this is the nature reserve signs, I believe.
I think actually that was
Or maybe somebody else was it?
signage in general.
Okay.
Can't quite remember exactly.
Do you want me to go to the minutes? Do you want me to go to the? It's
I'll
from-
have to talk to Claire about signs.
it's from December, actually. I can go back to the minutes if you like. I'll just.
You can do it after this meeting.
I'll do it after.
Yeah,
Shall I put ongoing for that?
Yeah. because
Right, lovely. Number 30, Martin Russell, there's one for you, sir. Let's have a look. Martin, Lydia and RFO to liaise over purchase of signs and notice boards.
Oh, okay.
Is it ongoing?
yeah, I've got to go.
What is that in relation to Norton Nature Reserve? Or
I think that was in relation to just in general for signposting our locations. I don't know what notice, but I'll have to have a look at the minutes, I think.
It's minute number 8 of December.
can I raise something?
Sure.
No, so previous action, so Martin, was these little signs on the water fillers saying these are being, these are being supplied by Mumbles Community Council. And I think one of the
Yes.
meetings before, we said, oh yes, no, we've done that. And then I walked past the one in Klein Gardens and there still was nothing on it. And I just didn't know whether we'd been talking across purposes. So,
The signs are just there, so they haven't been done.
right, okay. So can we do that? When do you think you'll be able to get to that, Martin? So to put the signs on the water fillers?
Oh, Helen, I've done all of them. But is there one in Klein?
Yes.
Okay,
The 3 water
that's the
fillers.
one I haven't done. That's the one I haven't done.
So which ones have been done?
The one in the skate park, the
Yeah.
castle one, and the Norton Nature Reserve. They've all been done.
Okay, NNR and Castle. Right, there's one in Castle. There's one in Klein Gardens, which is next to the toilets, which is about halfway
Okay.
down, halfway up. depending on where you walk from. So, and it's right next to the toilets, and that gets tons of footfall because Klein is, you know, probably a lot more visited than certainly some of the other locations.
Yeah.
So-
Oh, Helen, okay, that's great. I didn't even know we had one
Yeah.
there. But,
Yeah,
but
when
now I
you-
know.
When you're doing it, text me and I'll come. to
All
meet,
right.
Because
Yeah.
we do have to go.
Okay, I'll do it. That's fine.
Fine, thank you. So could you capture that as an action, Ian?
Yeah, sure, yeah.
You look so cosy, by the way.
So
Hi, Martin.
going back to the signs, is that ongoing? We'll leave that, that's from December, ongoing, yeah?
Can you maybe take an action to send me the, oh no, I can look at the minutes, can't I? They're on.
Well, I'll send
Me,
a copy.
the minutes?
I'll send you the relevant bit. It's no problem. Yeah, of course. So that's that one.
It says the action it's related to on here. So.
Okay, don't worry. So, where are we? Number 32 is the clerk to liaise over future purchases being made local to Mumbles where possible. That was done, wasn't it? So I can show that's complete now, can't I?
Yeah, I think that's an ongoing thing. It's just, no thing was encouraging and doing stuff from Amazon, but
Yeah.
I'd rather not do that.
So it's been, I can close it though, Chair.
I think close it.
Yeah,
I think something all for all staff.
Oh,
That's it.
to be aware of.
To be aware of it.
And number 33 is Rebecca to provide Councillor Nelson with contact details of Jonathan Coote.
Yes.
Done. Oh, good, good. There'll be more red ink coming in. Right.
Should be Mrs. Trick up.
These are all new ones now. The next one is Sarah Keaton to provide Councillor Nelson with contact details of Mr. Trick. Has that been done?
This is strict.
That's been done. Lovely. Number 35. That's Councillor Cox to assist with IT issues regarding the interactive screen.
Yes. In relation to gardeners' questions. I don't know if we're going to be able to have that now because we're not able to have it under Hill, so you can close that one off.
Close.
Yeah. And we'll give an update on that in the
That's
meeting.
at Newton, isn't it now? Closed to Newton. Right. Number 36, carries to contact Oystermouth Radio to liaise over their participation with Gardeners' Questions.
I don't know if she's done that, but she suggested that. I thought that was a really good idea, so keep that open.
I'll leave that.
Could you take an action to follow up with her, Ian?
Chase it up, yeah. Action. Chase. Carry. Good. I think, oh, a few more actually, sorry. Number 37 is discuss how MCC can implement the proposals contained within the toolkit.
That's one from Carrie. That was the One Voice Wales, was a really helpful
Yeah.
toolkit. And
Yes.
so Carrie's not here today, so maybe should we ask her to bring an update at the next meeting?
Should we just should I send her a message for that?
Thanks, Ian. Yeah, brilliant.
Action. Right. Number 38. Lydia Graham, this might be part of your update anyway, the big leap forward. Is that going to be part of your report?
Yeah, just to note, it's the big climate leap, not the big leap forward.
Big climate, I beg your pardon, the big climate leap, yeah?
Yeah.
Can that be closed now, Lydia, or?
Yeah.
Or, yeah, be closed.
We're desperate to close some of these on you, Ian, because some of them go on for a.
Well, it's just, if we can, it's good, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it is as well, yeah.
Right, the next one, this is for Kerry, actually, the clerk, to discuss with RFO potential for claiming back VAT in relation to the gazebo at Clive Gardens. Was there any update on that, you know?
I've completely forgotten about that one. Do you want me to pick that up?
So I put it to you.
Yeah,
So, Helen,
I'll copy Kerry in.
okay. And the last one, number 40. Again, it's another one for Kerry the Clerk. To liaise with Austrian Development Steering Group in relation to the installation of electrical vehicle charging points.
So I think that's like a longer term aim now. So whether you want to,
Is that going to the working group?
yeah,
So I close that and say
Yeah.
are you happy with it? To working group. And that concludes, you'll be pleased to know, the actions.
so much.
Thank you.
So I wasn't sure. So with regards to budget, Ian,
Yes.
because I thought at the last meeting, what Kerry said was she was asking Paul to bring the budget monitoring quarterly and that he would present it. Instead of him kind of, it's down for every meeting. To meetings.
The other thing, would be, because this cropped up in this meeting where questions were asked. And obviously, even with Kerry's assistant, because Paul wasn't there, it was quite difficult to answer some questions. So when I spoke to Kerry afterwards the next day, what should happen, I think, is that the budget details are sent out in advance a week ahead. If there are any queries by anybody on the committee, they should go to Paul, ideally, and perhaps myself and Kerry could be copied in. So then in the absence of Kerry or Paul, I can then answer any questions, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean,
Are you happy for that to happen?
I'm happy for that to happen. I would rather, I think, for this committee, for Paul to come every quarter.
Every
I just think it
quarter.
makes the discussion
Yeah.
more meaningful. I
Yeah.
think, so if we get him to come every quarter, like we've got Martin coming every 2 months, if we get Paul coming every quarter, you can still ask for queries in advance.
Yes.
And I think our little budget it's not a big budget. I mean, you're not really spending it.
Would you like me to email and copy you in an action on that one?
Yes, please.
Action.
Rebecca?
So this isn't so much a question, which is why I haven't thought that it really needs Paul's involvement, but it is a suggestion on the climate emergency. So I'm looking at the budget monitoring report now, not the transaction. So line ENV 16. So there's a little comment on it there. Any plans for budget can it be vied? We've protected this for next year as well, this budget line.
Yeah.
The original intention behind this budget line was for it to be kind of like seed funding, if you'll forgive
Yeah.
me. So we put it in and we thought maybe we would be able to fund sort of 3 projects in a year. I'm talking like 2 or 3 years ago now, so I accept some people's thinking will have changed. So we wanted to welcome applications for projects that people thought would make a difference environmentally, whether that be on carbon emissions or biodiversity or what have you.
Yeah.
And that we would provide that bit of funding there. And we like proactively advertised it once in my memory.
Yeah, so
In our newsletter. I worked with Steve on an advert that went in the newsletter once, probably before Lydia's time actually, which gives you a sense of how long ago it was. And I don't know that we've had any applications.
Yeah, not that I'm aware of. Yeah.
In finance this month, we reviewed the grant making policy for the small medium grants.
Yeah.
And that will come to council. And I didn't mention this there because I think it needs to be a steer from this committee rather than from finance. But given that policy is under review, should we more proactively align this with that process? And almost have like where you write like why your project is eligible for MCC to fund it, we have like a climate emergency specific element of that application process, and then those applications are considered here rather than at finance. And we like more proactively market it, because otherwise it won't get spent.
No, that's right.
It's intended to be spent by us.
I'll take views this is my view, but I'll take views in a minute, because I can't anyone's hand up. So I definitely never even knew that's how it was meant to be spent. So I think it's no point keeping it here and it going forward year after year and not being spent, because I think people will start criticising now. So I'm happy in principle for it to do like what you just said. The only slight worry I'd have is because we haven't got a plan, we haven't got a council plan or set of priorities. which guide our grant giving. And because we haven't got that, I feel that money could just go on like 59 million playgrounds or scout halls or stuff that doesn't. So we'd have to put really strong things in.
So that is something else that came up in finance in terms of like, what criteria do we use to say that's a better application than that?
And then it meets our strategic priorities as a council, our committee set.
So we have got the community plan.
Yeah, which is great.
Yeah, which has 8 strategic objectives, and those are outlined in our grant policy. What we have not been necessarily so strong at doing is like asking people to really evidence how does your application meet these objectives. So that has been strengthened in the new policy, should it be approved by council. It's going to be scored against that, and if you don't meet a minimum threshold of score, your application is not considered to go forward. So I think we could develop something very similar for the climate emergency applications, where if you don't meet, you know, and you don't want to make it like War and Peace, but like 5 bullet points of these are the things that we think we need to address locally because of the climate emergency. Or even these are the things we're prioritising this year. We can review it annually, biannually, whatever. And if you can't evidence, it's not just like, yes, tick, I meet those. You have to be able to evidence how you're going to meet those. And if you don't, then when you don't meet a minimum score, we don't consider it.
Yeah, because I would look, you know, the applications I see comes through full council, I would say none of them are explicitly ever about the environment. They're all about facilities or activities. Anyway, sorry, go on, sorry, Hetty.
Oh, you carry on.
No.
Oh, we had that meeting, well, the Green Heroes on Thursday, waste, and a lot of good things came out of that. Maybe there's quite a few things that came from that, sort of the refuse, reuse, re-engineer, repurpose, and all those sort of things. Maybe some of those could feed into the kind of criteria we want. I mean, if we could avoid something that was involving lots of concrete, because concrete is number 8 in the list of carbon heavy items throughout the world. It's big. Concrete use is bigger than several countries' carbon footprint. So to avoid that, and I mean, we're obviously going to try and avoid plastics where we can. But if there was things that we are planning to do, if they can be either things repurposed or
so I think you could definitely build that into.
Just as another idea based on what Ed said. So in the past, this budget line has existed and we've not had applications, but we have spent it, obviously. And what we've done is where we've been aware of initiatives that would meet the criteria if there was an application, we've supported. So one of the Plastic Free Mumbles projects has been funded through this budget line before, I'm sure, can't think of the others. But the other thing we could do with it is if we didn't get enough applications in the year that met those quite stringent criteria, mentioning concrete, like one of the reasons that sometimes we go down routes that are environmentally not great is cost. But if we had this budget line where actually we could say, well, MCC will pay the difference that it costs you to choose a greener alternative. So you don't have to apply for like a whole project necessarily. And actually MCC could internally do that to itself as well, right? So like an idea comes from culture or community and social, and the difference between doing it the cheap way and doing it the green way is a reasonable amount of money within the context of this budget. It could be used that way as well, couldn't it?
That's a really interesting way. So I think, Martin, do you have any thoughts on this? Because I like the idea in principle of not having a grant scheme run through this, because that isn't ever how we've done it. I don't think there's any point carrying on. What are your thoughts, Martin? Martin Shea. I'm going to call you Martin Shea and Martin.
Yeah, I was wondering if we would address it too. I very much think there's an echo coming through, so somebody's still got that. I very much think that we need to have a set of priorities that we are adhering to, because otherwise, I think exactly the point I think that's been raised there. Is, you know, it's just going to go on probably on whoever shouts the loudest, as it were. So, but we need to think strategically about how we're going to formulate those objectives. And, you know, Helen, you know more than most, you know, everything that we've got with the Wellbeing and Future Generations thing, we could use that as maybe some sort of framework to build around. Because I am very keen, and always have been very keen, that what we do at Mumbles Community Council aligns with more strategic levels of what's going on at Welsh Government and local government levels as well, because otherwise we will come up with our guidelines based on what maybe people in Mumbles Community Council are doing. And I really think it's important that we align ourselves with those priorities that are in the Wellbeing and Future Generations Act and other things. Can you hear me?
Yeah, no, we can. Yeah, but we were muted. Sorry, Martin. So I think that's great. Obviously, I would think that's great. So maybe can the action be whether we can just have a conversation to try? So in principle, yes, we think that line isn't any point being in there, and we in principle think let's integrate that with the current grant scheme. But could I link into the discussions with finance on?
Well, yeah, I wouldn't necessarily want. Sorry, I know you had your hand up. Did you?
Oh, did you?
Yeah, sorry.
No,
I just wanted to make the point that I've said it before about our climate emergency declaration, that I think maybe we need to work together as a committee to create a bit of a environmental vision plan of some sort, and a bit of a specific plan of where our environmental aims are. So we have got a plan as through the Big Climate Leap, which we'll talk about later, that we want to reduce our climate emissions by 25% in 5 years. I think it was. Correct me if I'm wrong, if anyone's heard that. That's just off the top of my head, I can't remember. So that's one of them. You know, whether we want to reduce our waste by a certain amount, and, you know, have some clear set goals that where we want to be at, and then how can these grant applications or whatever we decide to do with this budget line align with that? And then that if we can agree that as a committee, maybe we can put that as an agenda point for the next meeting. Then that can steer what this.
That's a really key part of the jigsaw, I think, isn't it? Yeah.
So all I was going to say is I'm in no way proposing that this becomes another £5 in the small and medium grants pot, because as you say, it could just get subsumed or our priorities get or whatever it is. I'm conscious that grants policy and some of the infrastructure behind it, so the form and everything is being reviewed as we speak. And I didn't want to turn up at full council in a couple of weeks' time and be like, I've had this great idea, and not have had any points, like any point of view from the rest from this committee, which is where this budget sits. But all I'm suggesting is that when it comes to council from this committee, if people are in agreement, which it sounds like they are, we suggest that we use that policy also as like the blueprint for how we'll manage this budget line. And then we go away and do the thinking about, right, in the general pot, these are the 8 criteria. In our pot, what are the criteria going to be? What are we looking for as evidence? How are we going to score it, etc. So I just think it's a way of like making sure it's on the radar, that it gets properly promoted, because it can get promoted alongside our small and medium grants then. And that we do make sure it is spent meaningfully, because it's you know, in the grand scheme of our budget that we've set, which has been really hard work, it's a chunk of money.
Yeah. So are we happy to say let's go with that? Oh, sorry, Martin.
Yeah, I know it's difficult when you're sharing the screen as well. What I was going to say, I think what Lydia was saying there, maybe we could use that as the evidence, as an aspect of evidence. You know, that it would be reducing whatever our targets would be, you know, because that could be concrete, quantifiable evidence, isn't it?
Do you mean if we had like numerical targets?
Yeah.
Because then people can say our project will
help you reduce this much. So should I take an action of writing a bit of a plan, like a bit of a brief, like a draft document for like a vision, an environmental vision plan. I'm calling it that because I don't know what else to call it, but for the next committee meeting, and then we can discuss it as a agenda point.
Yeah, and another option, sorry, Eddie, another option, I would quite like to have a conversation with Martin and Rebecca about this process. I just think there's loads of ways that we can really make this a good one.
Yeah.
Martin.
Martin is chair, and to kind of follow up what Martin was saying about the plan. Because when I came to chair, which was the Joint Enabling Committee before I was a councillor, I was super impressed there was this plan. And when I looked at the plan, it was just an excellent plan. And it's just actually got no status, and it's getting more and more to date. Anyway, so I don't want to go on about that, but I do think there's some real potential.
Just for clarity now, this is, I'm hoping now, is going to go out towards the whole full council, is it?
Yeah.
It's not something that's just within the Environment Committee. It's going to, so that there is for people to look at the kind of checklist, as you say, and so people can have an idea, but they need to know how it fits with what we're.
Yeah. So if we aligned it with the small and medium grants process, then applications come. Well, actually, a new step in the process is that applications go to officers who check that all the bits of paper are there. Because for ages, we've been considering applications where there's like this missing or that missing, and it's just a waste of everyone's time. Then they come to committee make a recommendation to council about whether to approve based on like, we're supposedly the kind of the experts, you know, we're in the weeds of this agenda. Another pun. But then council have the final say, and they have that say whether it's a recommendation to approve or reject. So even if we rejected something, council could overturn it. But I think that's important. That's part of democracy, isn't it? And it means that all applications get equal sight. So people can see what's coming in, what areas they're coming in for. Are there any groups that we really haven't reached because they're not making any applications, you know, that kind of thing. So yeah, that's how it would work, because if we went down this route of aligning it with the general policy.
Oh, sorry, of course you can.
Yeah. I was going to say no. That would probably need some information coming with it, because we're kind of aligned ourselves to the Environment Committee because we've got an interest in it, we've got a background in it, and we're, you know, not everybody else has. So if we're going to make a case for pretty much most things, and have a kind of source of knowledge that people can read that and say, yeah, that's why we need to do it. So they're not saying, no, I don't think that's a good idea, we'll pass that. We've got to sort of back it up.
That's why I think that it all needs to be part of a bigger structure, because I think the scope for that is quite high when you've got, say, other councillors who don't have the background, and then they think it's important, and they think something else is important. So I think having the structure of a set of priorities where climate and nature is clearly articulated, it's easier then to sort of feed it into that, saying that is a priority, and then you do the background work, and if you've got all stacks up, what doesn't stack up in some cases, it wouldn't be a good project to support. Does that make sense?
Everybody knows why we're doing the climate emergency, not just something we said.
Well, this is, I think this relates to the item on the big climate leap, which, because we talked about that in the last committee meeting, didn't we? I can't remember exactly who was here, but the need for that not to be just something this committee does, but it's got to be something the whole council is like really bought into. So that's going to be a challenge in itself, isn't it? Anyway, I'm conscious of time. So in terms of the agenda item being budget, I think, we note the information from Paul. I'll probably follow up with it myself because I've got a few little questions. We're going to action the thing about the climate, and we've got the action around Lydia bringing like an environmental vision.
Just to clarify, there's no recommendations for full council at this stage. We're waiting to come back for the next one. That's correct, isn't it?
Yeah.
And are we happy to accept the two reports, items 5 and 6?
Yeah, I was pleasantly surprised when I saw this the other day, because I thought, because I think with this committee we've struggled sometimes to implement and to deliver on some of the spending promises.
Yeah.
So I was kind of pleasantly surprised that Martin's now buying tools and things, and Lydia's been delivering her work. So yeah. I'm going to follow up with Paul just because I want to check a few things anyway. That's okay.
But for the minutes, I'll show them as being accepted. Is that okay?
Of course, yeah, that's great, thank you. And just this next paper, Mumbles Community Council Budget 24-25. This is for information really, because I just wanted to summarise what the conversation was at the full council the other day. So that our proposed budget for the next financial year is the 43,500. And I do just want to check with Paul about earmarked reserves, because I think that's the critical thing, isn't it? Lydia, have we heard into the Jubilee Garden? Have we heard anything back from our funders yet?
We have heard that it's on to the next. So I bumped into Rachel from One Voice Wales, and she was like, "It's under review. I can't say anymore." So, so the process has started.
Okay. Because I think one of the because as you'll see from that, Lydia, I don't know where the £100 came from actually. One of the things was that if we don't get the, it's what full council agreed, isn't it? If we don't get the money from external sources, we've got no money for Jubilee Gardens this year. All because there was such an issue with funding. Look, no new applications got through at all, not a single one. And even
it was to get funding then.
It was even in that meeting where no new applications went in, we had to reduce so much of the existing spend. It really was difficult. Martin Shea.
You're on mute, Martin.
You mute us, Ian.
Sorry.
This echo, Andrea. Yeah, sorry about that. Just an update that Lydia is aware of this, is that we have been approached by the gentleman who's developing the building next door to Jubilee Gardens. And he's quite concerned about various aspects of this, and he would like to sort of get involved. But we've also got, obviously, Dennis from Ripples, who's quite keen to get involved in the development of Jubilee Gardens, linked to his interest in cycling and active travel. And there's also another business owner in the area, a guy called Colbert Thomas, who's got an Airbnb on the other side of the road. And he's already had talks with Dennis from Ripples. Well, this other guy who's doing up the building next door to Jubilee Gardens, we're going to put them all in contact with each other. And of course, Lydia's been Llanfire House, was it, Lydia, you've had some contact with? All I'm sort of saying, just point of information really, that there are a couple of relevant stakeholders, and whether we get this funding or whether we don't get this funding, maybe we could take something forward with these local business owners in the area and Llanfire House.
I've said I haven't arranged it yet, but it's on my to-do list for this week. It's to arrange a meeting with all of those, try and get a date where we can arrange a meeting with all of those different stakeholders to kind of discuss how we can meet everyone's kind of goals and work together on it.
Do you want somebody to be with you in that meeting? Because that could be quite a thing to manage.
Well, I was gonna send an email and Martin and yourself.
Okay, great. Yeah. I don't think you should do that by yourself.
Probably both Martin.
Yeah. I was going to be there anyway, but obviously anybody who wants to attend, free to attend. There's nothing, it's not a closed house here. But yeah, it's just all sort of thing. There's nothing concrete at the moment, but it's just keeping the channels of communication open with these interested parties. And, they are local business owners themselves and resource owners and stakeholders. So even if we're unsuccessful with that bit, maybe there's something else we could take forward.
Yeah, similar point to what Martin finished on there, really. I think if we don't get the grant funding, it doesn't have to be like, right, this is neither happening then. Yeah. I've had a couple of grants come through this week, which have got deadlines of like this week. So they're not helpful when we have an application in that's not, that we don't know the outcome of yet. But I think there are other opportunities out there, especially if we especially because of the nature of all the different stakeholders, and there's a lot of grant pots out there for like connecting communities or bringing people together and stuff. So I think if you hear and we don't get it, let everyone know ASAP, because there may well be other opportunities coming down the.
Keep a lookout. Yeah, that'd be great.
And you know, with some of those contacts that, like the Ripples guy, is there a chance of involving them in Norton Nature Reserve? Because I feel Norton Nature Reserve is much of as the bigger site, it's more of a flagship site for MCC, and shouldn't we be trying to channel people there? And possibly as well as instead of Jubilee Gardens? Because I think it's more set up for it.
More set up. What are we talking? More set up for what though?
Volunteering. So it's more set up. There's more space. There's like raised beds. That side is so Jubilee Gardens is pretty run down. Norton Nature Reserve is more sort of set up to try and get groups in, school children, adults in as part of the volunteering.
Yeah, but I think maybe we're talking across purposes here. I don't know. But Dennis, for instance, at Ripples, who I'm sure you know, has been involved with us off and on in various ways. I know Rebecca's been very involved with him in the past. In relation to his interest in developing Ripples or the area around Ripples as a sort of cycling or travel sort of hub. I don't know. I don't think Norton Gardens would fit into that so much because it's off the main cycle path on the seafront. I think with Colber Thomas, who's got an Airbnb opposite, I think he's interested in making sure that the area around where, let's be honest, his business is how can I say? Let's be honest, Jubilee Gardens is looking a bit down in the mouth, looking a bit raggedy at the moment. So I think that's what his main motivation is. Obviously, he's interested in the wider area. And also, obviously, the gentleman whose name escapes me at the moment, who's just bought the property next door to Jubilee Gardens and is doing it up at the moment. I would have thought that it'll be the same for his motivation. Well, for him, obviously, the Norton Nature Reserve is on the other side of the road and quite a bit further down.
Thanks, Mark. I realised the Ripples contact. The guy who lived here and I met, his name was John, and the meeting we had with him was very positive.
I think he's just a bit. I think it's that path that he wanted cleared. He's a bit impatient.
That's a city council thing, isn't it?
Well, I don't know actually, but I know that the overgrowth is coming from our site, so I would assume it would be our responsibility.
I did mention it to Martin the other day. I don't know if you've had a look, Martin.
Yeah, I did. I did, and it's all the shrubbery that's growing over a pavement, and I think that's what he means, isn't it, Martin? Does he mean that route along the road? There's a little.
Yeah, he means the route along behind Jubilee Gardens, right next to the road. That's what he means. I don't know why.
Yeah.
If it's Jubilee Gardens that's causing the problem, then surely it would be our responsibility to cut it back from Jubilee Gardens side.
Yeah, that's the conversation I had with him basically, because he said that there's overgrowth coming out to Jubilee Gardens and it's obstructing this path which people are using to get to and from his property.
Sure. Yes. Martin, that's something we can do. I can easily trim it all back.
Yeah.
Hold it there, right? I want to come back to that because I feel like we could do something on that. Sorry, Ed has been trying to come in.
Well, for a start, I can't see how these people are going to be involved in Jubilee Gardens to any extent, because it's tiny handkerchief of land, and there's left to itself, it would just go to nature and it would be fine. It'd be full of all the wildlife we're looking for. actually trying to use it in any way. I can't quite see how it's working. I mean, you've got everything riding on Llanffair coming down, but I mean, this has been ongoing. It was built for Llanffair, it was developed for it many years ago, and nobody has got any interest in it. The staff move and they forget about it and all these kind of things. That path you're talking about is about 18 inches wide. I can't walk on it.
Oh, right.
So it's not pavement, it's just an extended curve. So I think he's banging about really. I think he's playing, just trying to say, well, I got this is problematic and all that, you know what I mean? Which is silly. If there's overgrowth from Jubilee Gardens, fine, cut it back as necessary, but to be jumping into this to do little things like that is ridiculous. And I personally, I cannot see the point in putting any money.
Well, I think
That's
this is really valid because we have had these conversations.
Oh, every time.
So I think, can you show me that photo again? Sorry, Rebecca. Thank you for getting that in. Yeah, so it isn't.
It's not footpath because if it was highway, it would be my responsibility as city councillor. But it's not. It's an extension of the footpath, but it's not wide enough to be considered a footpath.
Because I think most people don't, they would do.
Wheels down there, so it's not. If it was on the double yellows, also highways would be on to us, being like, it's in the road, which is not safe. Yeah, it seems a shame to cut it back, to be honest, because what to do what?
I think let's have the Holden response of it. What we've told them so far, which is we're waiting for a grant to come in. And I think we do need to have a conversation about Jubilee Gardens because I think it keeps coming up that anyway, I feel Llanffair House, if they wanted to do some volunteering, I feel they could do that at Northern Nature Reserve.
Yeah.
It is literally just opposite and down. I understand now what Martin was saying in terms of ripples and that chat because they are. So I think let's just keep the line that we're going to wait until we hear off the grant funders. When we do, I think it's a proper agenda item because I think we wouldn't just want to sort of say, oh, let's just leave it then, because you'd have to communicate that, that would not be the approach to
There's
do.
a number of people that have approached us now that are interested in it and are saying this needs something done about it, because there have been the reason that we're looking into doing something about it, because you're right, left to nature, it might be a good thing, but it's attracting littering, it's attracting people sleeping in there.
Yeah, that's right. Yes, we can't stay as it is. We all agree, it can't stay as it is. Yeah.
I just like one final point for just the conversation I've had with Dennis, is that actually the bit of land he's really interested in being involved with is the bit of land the other side, which is next door to Ripples. And I said, well, probably there's not going to be a lot in there. It's just maintained as it is by the Parks Department. But Jubilee Gardens is just down the road and MCC are looking for volunteers and there's a potential project coming down the track. So I wouldn't say he's like actively jumping up and down, desperate to work in Jubilee Gardens, just to say that's my perspective from the conversation I've had with Dennis.
So who owns our little other piece of land then, Rebecca?
City.
Right, fine. Okay, that's great. Is everyone happy with that? Are you clear with action, seeing?
We're waiting for the funding to be sorted out, and then we can have an agenda item to discuss Jubilee. Is that correct?
Just keep, Martin or you, anyone who's gets in touch with us, just keep lines of communication open.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
So that wasn't really on Jubilee, but that was just on for information, the budget for next year. And I'm going to just speak to Paul about earmarked reserves to us to be clear what's
I'll
on.
speak to Paul about both.
Yeah.
Together.
So action. Speak to Paul. And you're going to, Ian, can you speak to Kerry and Paul about a rota for Paul to come every quarter?
Yeah.
Thank you. Where are we on the agenda? Lydia, are you ready to give us a verbal update on the big climate leap? I think there was some confusion last time because I mistakenly thought Carrie was involved. I think because Carrie brings a lot of knowledge because of her role with the Environment Centre. I mistakenly said that last time. And then was corrected that she's not involved, you're involved. So I thought it'd be update to bring a verbal. Yeah. If you could just bring a verbal. I think it is a really important piece of work.
Not a huge amount in terms of progress on that. Like, we're basically waiting for them to send us a starter kit. Like, that'd be a big kickoff. But they're very short staffed and all of their staff work part-time, so they take quite a while. There have got a new member of staff called Ali, who's trying to, I think has been brought on board to take a bit of pressure off the other people and to make things run a little bit quicker. She's emailed me to arrange a chat to introduce herself, and I'm assuming to talk about next steps. So I'm about to arrange a date. But when I do meet with her, is there any questions or points that anyone would like me to take to that meeting? Just anyone got anything that they want, any questions that they have about it or anything?
Have we had what we were expecting on the carbon literacy training?
This is another thing that I was going to bring up. I had an email whilst I was away about carbon literacy training that was happening not last week, the week before.
So it didn't give you very much notice.
So was
Yeah,
that?
basically missed it.
No,
I didn't. That is probably. But
your out of office had a if you can't get me, contact X on it as well, didn't it?
I think we need to be really clear. Can I come with you in that meeting? Because I feel like, because I thought Carrie was involved, I think this is strategically really important for the whole council, this big climate leap. And I think we need to be really clear what we're getting, what we're signing up to, what the sequence of events is, and how, then we need to have a plan as a committee about how we're going to take this bigger throughout the whole council, and because it needs to cascade through all of our stuff, doesn't it?
And for me, the carbon literacy training was a massive golden nugget in all of this, because as Ed knows, I've done it and now wax lyrical about how.
Do you do it with them?
I do with the Carbon Literacy Trust, who I understood from when we had
the carbon
that's
literacy.
who they are commissioning to provide it. And I think in terms of that bringing people along,
It's massive.
it's absolutely huge, because it lays out not only just the seriousness of the situation that we're in, but also some of the I suppose the approach. So my big takeaway is every single little bit of carbon that we put into the atmosphere is making things worse for us. It's speeding up the process and it's making it more difficult to reverse. So even if you can't be perfect, just every single time you make the right decision,
Every little helps.
it's literally every little helps.
Rather annoyingly.
So we don't need everyone in council to be a full convert. I'm gonna, eco warrior. We just need them to understand how essential that is to the approach. And I thought the carbon literacy training was the way to do that.
Well, no, they're not saying it.
Okay.
There was one,
Right.
and we've missed it. But that's not to say that there won't be another one.
Yeah.
Because it's not just done one. So I'll mention in that meeting, if we can have, if there's going to be another one, if there's not going to be another one, maybe they could arrange to have someone come here and do it for us with all the councillors here, which actually might be better because more people will come. Yeah.
I do think this carbon literacy training is so important, because I think the problem we've got in the council at the moment is a very low awareness of environmental issues, and people associate it with this one or two other councillors, and I don't think that's helping the whole body of MCC, and I mean staff as well as councillors. They don't get it, they maybe not interested, they come with their own prejudices and value sets.
We're all doing it for them.
Yeah, that's right. And
There was one thing. I think I did forward it on to all councillors. What they've started doing, since I've been aware actually, is sending me invites to some of this training. And I think I forwarded one on. It wasn't carbon literacy, but I think I forwarded one on to all councillors. I don't, but maybe I'm making that up. Maybe that's something else.
I'm sure I said this in the last meeting, it's me that probably hasn't done it, but I feel Martin, Chair, this is really important to get this on the radar of the whole council, isn't it? That this is something we've signed up for. It's really hard to put it as an agenda item because we haven't really got a huge amount to say yet.
Sorry, I was trying to clear that.
So Lydia, as an actor, I'd be quite keen to meet them with you, because I can help think how we take this to other colleagues and councillors. And yeah, maybe we can just all have a bit of a think about how we make, how we put this on everyone's radar.
Yeah, was there, in terms of that meeting, an action is I'll arrange the meeting and invite you to the meeting.
And then, I mean,
And I'll bring up about carbon literacy training in that meeting and make that a really strong point. Is there any other points that people want me to make in that meeting?
would you be interested in going to that meeting?
I'm just wondering whether that would be helpful.
Yeah, because you will bring such a perspective as well.
Yeah, okay.
Can I just ask the name of the lady you're meeting?
Ali.
Ali.
From, I don't know, a second.
Oh, don't know. Okay, that's fine. Okay.
Just Ali from the Environment Centre.
Because I think this is possibly quite a low profile so far, and it might be just seen as another little project. But I think as it carries on, it'll have a really high profile.
Well, I wouldn't
next
say
year.
that it's a project. I would say that it's actually something that underpins everything that
I
we do.
think
Yeah.
they think, I think the other project. I think
Yeah,
it's seen as a little thing, little tiny thing done here that we're doing, when it is absolutely.
It's actually on top, kind of impacting every single little thing that we do as a council. That's what it should be. It should be.
Process.
It should be a blanket project. Not even. It's not a project. It's a law. It's basically, yeah. It should be. It shouldn't just be in the agendas for the in my opinion, and for the environmental committee. It should be an agenda item for the full council.
Council, absolutely.
Yeah, I can update anyone. I'm not saying I'm going to go to all council meetings, but I can send an update if people want me to. But yeah.
Yeah, I think there's like I think there's a real big like heart and minds that we need to try and achieve here. So I just do think it's massive. Okay, should we move on? Are you okay?
Yeah. But
should we everyone happy if we move on to gardeners question time and members was approved? So I just kind of started. Did you want to fill in the gaps?
Yeah.
So we've changed the date of Mumbles Gardeners Question Time because Carrie very helpfully noticed it was on the same day as the Welsh International. So the date of Mumbles Gardeners Question Time, which we now call in Mumbles Gardeners Question Time, not to confuse it with the real Radio 4 Question Time, which is what I just copied anyway, but we don't want anyone to think that actually Radio 4 are coming to Mumbles and then they don't. So we're calling it Mumbles Gardeners Question Time. It's going to be on the 26th of March. At 5:30 to 7:30 at Newton Hall in the cafe and bookshop. So we phoned around loads and loads of, so we were meant to have it in Underhill. It was becoming really difficult to find dates that suited the people who agreed to be on the panel, etc. So we phoned, I think we phoned around 5 community halls: West Cross Community Centre, Vivian Hall, this place, Underhill. I think there was another one I can't remember now. And none of them could do it, because during the week they're all fully booked. All of them are completely fully booked, which is brilliant. So we're going to have it in Newton Hall is booked, but the coffee shop and bookshop, and we've taken seats and I've gone and done all seats for them. So it'll fit 60 max, but that will be a squeeze. So it'll be 60 max on the Eventbrite. So we've got the date, we've got the location, we've got the most of the speakers. I'm hoping to get one more. So we've got Sue Kent from Gardeners Question Time, is obviously local. We've got the Tyvion Davis, the head gardener of Klein. We've got a guy who was the retired head gardener of Penrice Estate and current chair of Mumbles Gardening Club. And he said and it was Ian Scott who really helpfully gave me his contact. Is it Peter Robinson?
Peter Robinson, that's it.
He's really hoping, anyway, he feels like Mumbles Gardening Club needs a bit of a boost, a bit of a refresh, like Plastic Free Mumbles. So he's hoping to use the event to get some younger members. We had a slight hiccup and muddle up with some councillors hoping to be on the panel, but the panel is full. So no one was on the committee here. So the panel's full, so we've had to try and clarify that. The only other person I'm hoping to get is we were wanting to get a vegetable grower. So Carrie went and spoke to somebody from the allotment and they couldn't do it. I went and spoke to Kai Tan. I thought it would be brilliant. They've got so much going on in March, they can't do it, but they're going to put feelers out. But then Rob Marshall is friends with this really famous, young, funky vegetable grower who lives in Aberystwyth. who was also on the telly, a guy called Hugh, I can't think of his last name. And so Rob has asked this guy if he'll come, but we'll have to pay him 250, which is what we're paying Sue Kent. So I'm waiting to hear about that. And then so we've got that would be the panel. So
I've got Louise Watkins.
right, so I need, right, is she? Okay, right, brilliant. Because I did think, I need to get back. Sorry? So Jonathan Coombs and Kate Davis are our enthusiasts. So we've got a bee expert and a tree expert. And the way we've kind of planned the room is that they won't be on the panel, but they will be like enthusiast. You know, what we want to try and demonstrate is a community of enthusiasts. It's not like panel of experts and everyone's listening and knows nothing. It's so on the sofa next to them, there'll be Jonathan and Kate, the bee and tree experts. And if and when something comes up that's relevant, you know, it's more of a sort of a community, of a wider community of people who can pitch in.
Yeah. Which was Jonathan's preference, Ed, just to reassure you. That was Jonathan's preference, just to reassure you.
Okay.
Yeah. He did say, he said he does garden, but he doesn't know how he does it, and stuff just grows.
I love
So
that.
yeah.
That's a good answer.
Yeah. So he said, I don't know if I can answer any questions on gardening because they just sort of all happened, but I don't know why and how. But I can answer questions on bees.
There's allotments like that 1917, the film, you know what I mean? It's trenches and yeah. He moves things around the house, he'll grow much, but he's got a nice guy.
Yeah. Well, I'm hoping that, you know, what we want to do, you know, there's going to be loads of people in the audience who've got tons of expertise, you know, so it's try and give that impression. So as chair of the environmental committee, I'm going to chair it. And I think if we do it next year, it should be the chair of the environmental committee. I think that's really important. So I feel like when you were away, because of the day change, there was a flurry of activity to try and sort stuff out. Then I sort of had to focus on work again. And then now I'm sort of over my 50th and work. I'm hoping I can just work with you. We can just, you know, go to the venue, like you said. Claire was brilliant. Claire Anderson has been excellent in that period. I was like, oh my God, we've got no venue. So I'm hoping now we've got a month of me and we'll get all sorted in that time. We've got some draft posters.
Yeah.
And so at the event, we're going to be launching Mumbles, Buzz and Bloom. And then do you want to talk to that a bit more about that? We've got some categories of judges.
Well, so the Gardener's Question Time, unfortunately, I can't make that date, which I'm going to have to it. So, I was actually really looking forward to that one. I was like, yeah, but oh well.
I know, sorry, but you were on leave.
Yeah, I was thank you for sorting that while I was away. So we've created an Eventbrite. So the event is live on Eventbrite.
And is that Eventbrite or Eventbrite?
Okay. What we're basically, I spoke to Paul, and I think we are going to be creating a general MCC Eventbrite page because at the moment people email events at Mumbles and it doesn't work because you don't know what event they're. It's just too much work. So, and it's not very professional, I don't think, anyway. So Eventbrite works really well for me when I'm doing events and volunteer dates, because then I can just send the links to all the events out to all the volunteer mailing lists that I have. And then they just sign up and I know exactly who's in it.
Yeah.
So it works really well for me. So I've got my own one set up. For this one, because it was over 25 people, I've had to just pay for the one event, and because you have to pay for Eventbrite over 25 people. So that's coming out of my budget. But it's £7.50. Forward, we'll start because we're doing more events where there's quite a few people coming. We're going to start using Eventbrite a bit more. So yeah, I've created an event on Eventbrite. I'll send that out. I'll be sending that out to volunteers at my mailing list this week. Eddie, I'll send you one if you want as well. And I'll send it out to councillors so you can share it around. We've got a poster. Were you happy with the poster?
Yeah, I did love it, but I thought,
I liked it because it fit well with the Mumbles, Buzz and Bloom.
yeah, I thought it was right. That's fine. I thought let's just go with it.
Yeah, it was cheery. So we've got a poster, a banner made for Mumbles, Buzz and Bloom with a QR code to a website page link, which will explain it more and explain in detail how people can enter the contest. So that's we're going to put much out in terms of that, in terms of Mumbles Buzz and Bloom before the event, and then really launch it at the event.
So who will do that? So because I thought if we open the thing, we're going to ask questions in advance, which we'll need to say when people register on Eventbrite. If you want to ask a question on the night, please ask it now. Because then I guess, do we talk about Mumbles Buzz and Bloom maybe towards the end of the night as we round it up?
I don't know, because I think
I could have assumed you would do that, but somebody else is going to have to.
I thought it would be nice to mention at the start, because then if people have specific questions about their entry, then they can ask them throughout the event.
Yeah.
So like if they're like, oh, I want to enter that, I've got an idea in mind. That's what I've been putting. I've put it on the Eventbrite. Is if you want to enter this contest and you've got ideas, bring your questions on.
Okay. Yeah.
So I thought it'd be good to drop hints like that.
Yeah.
Up until the event, and then and then at the start of the event.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay, we'll mention it at the start. Sorry. Yes.
Can I just clarify? Is it the Eventbrite? Is that how people accept the invitation to go there?
Eventbrite is booking system. Yeah.
It's booking. It's a booking system as well, and that's when you ask the questions. Just for,
yeah.
Okay, thank you. So it's a booking system.
So there's lots of logistics to sort out. In terms of committee member involvement, I was really hoping that committee members would help be judges, because I think the people who need to be judges kind of need to semi-know what they're looking for. So is everyone here happy to be a judge? Because obviously I would put Carrie and Sarah, Martin Russell, Ed. Would you be willing to be a judge?
I don't know on what.
Well, I tell you what, if we put an email together and send it around to everyone saying these are the categories, because I think we'd have to put people who've gone on together.
You had a draft list.
We did have a draft list, yeah.
And I remember being very happy with my category, and I'm not a gardener. So, and obviously you're in pairs, aren't you? So, you could circulate that and ask people to raise any issue that they might have. Because if you put me on like ornamental flower growing, I might struggle.
Yeah, because I feel I wouldn't really know what. I mean, I love gardening myself, but I don't feel. So we put people with somebody who is knowledgeable and to get on. So Richard Jarvis and Ian Scott, they've also asked them if they want to be judges, and they both confirmed.
So I'll send out an email with a list of the categories and suggestion of who might judge what, and see if people are happy with it.
Yeah, send it to me first,
and
I'll check, because I've also been in touch with Richard Jarvis and Ian Scott, and I'm not sure if Amelia wants to do it.
There's quite a format to judging. Is there be vegetables as well? You know, like you get in a show sort of thing. You know, that kind of thing, because people put their stuff out.
Yeah, I don't think.
No, it's more of the overall garden with it's called Buzz and Bloom, so it's with a more environmental right. So it's basically looking at the garden itself and positive garden for the environment rather than the actual produce.
The gardens and judging them.
Yeah,
I think there's a lot of logistics that need to be worked out. I think the way it was previously done was driving around all of the streets of Mumbles, carrying Tavion, for instance, and looking at the front garden. But I think we've introduced a few new categories like school and community garden, or community project rather. So I think some of this needs figuring out.
Yeah.
And maybe
another thing we need to figure out is a timeline for it. Because obviously there'll be a date where applications, a date where we officially open the application process. There'll be a date when the applications need to be in by, there'll be a judging date, and then there'll be an awards ceremony thing. So we need to figure that out, basically.
Yeah, I think there's quite a lot of stuff to be worked out.
Yeah, it's more of the reason we're mentioning it now is because it's something that we wanted to mention as part of the gardener's question time, so that people are aware of it, and if they have any questions, then they've got a bit of time to plan their gardens. So like, oh, I might want to, enter that contest, I'll think about a garden, and then maybe in later spring they can start actually getting things ready.
I think there's going to be loads of serious gardeners at our gardeners question time. I think there's so many out there. I think that it's going to be booked up like that, and there'll be loads of really serious gardeners.
I haven't put a poster out yet. I've already had 2 people.
I've had somebody contact me. Yeah. Okay. So, are there any questions? Yeah.
Can we have a date for the Mumbles Buzz Balloons, please much?
It's the same day.
Well, it's on at the gardeners question time event.
But we haven't got a date for it though.
Well, it's not an event. The gardeners question time is the 26th.
Yeah, but there's no.
But the
no date. Oh, right. Okay, thank you.
Is everyone happy to move on?
Should I just quickly go
Martin and Martin. Oh,
through the categories? So the categories are going to be best business garden, best ornamental garden, best wildlife garden, best school garden, best grow your own food garden, and then best community garden project. So that's the categories.
Can you send them to me, Lydia? Would you?
Yeah, I'll send them.
So yeah, that's fine. We're going to sort logistics out. Martin and Martin, anything from your perspective?
No.
No, it's all good. It's all good for me.
Well, I think part of our logistics planning will need. I think in the past there was some sort of event, like in the pier, or apparently Mumbles Golf, London Golf Club even before that. Some kind of, award, prize, feel good sort of event. So we need to figure that out. And I think in terms of the budget, just £500 for Mumbles Buzz and Bloom, I think that's possibly where most of the cost will go, is on that, because it's really low cost throughout, isn't it?
Yeah, but that'll have to be next year's budget though.
Yeah, if we say on the thing, carry forward, it says carry forward on Paul's paper.
Nice. Cool. Okay, my update.
Thanks, Lydia. Yes, please.
Cool. Sorry I haven't written a formal update for the last month, but obviously because I was away and I just haven't got around to actually writing one down. So I can give a verbal update, but I haven't actually provided a document. So sorry about that. Volunteer day posters for next month are going to be going out this week. I'm waiting on a poster from SA1 for the West Cross Tidy Up this weekend. So we'll be doing litter pick as well as a Bee Friendly Streets weeding day on Sunday.
Can I ask, have you not got the poster? They're not giving it to you. It's on Sunday.
Yeah.
I think we've got to just be insisting on posters.
Yeah.
Like 10 days before.
Yeah.
But why? If you're dependent on regular volunteers, it's less important. I think if this is something that you're wanting and hoping wider members, I just think that's hopeless from SA1.
Yeah. Well, no, it's part as well, because I sent a request late last week, so that is partly my fault as well.
However, it's literally updating the text of the existing poster.
Yeah.
They could have done it that day,
Yeah.
in my view.
I think so. That's why it's not like that's not the only reason why I sent it last week, but I was kind of hoping I would have it through by now. I was like kind of at the point where I was like, okay, Monday's okay, but yeah. So hopefully I'll have it tomorrow and get it posted tomorrow. I've got the Eventbrite and I've sent the Eventbrite to regular volunteers, so that's happened. That's done. So fingers crossed I'll have some people. It's all weather dependent with litter picks anyway.
It's not the litter pick, and you've done the wheel, though, haven't you? You've done the verge. The verge.
Oh, no, that was yeah. So yeah, wildflower planting's been done. On the 7th of March, which is we've cut down our volunteer days to one Thursday volunteer day and one Saturday volunteer day every month, because every other Thursday was, I know it's only one more, but it was getting a little bit unmanageable. So we've cut it down to the first Thursday of the month. So the next one is the 7th of March, and we're going to be doing some more dead hedging at Norton Nature Reserve, which people seem to really enjoy, and the dead hedge looks really good. Meg messaged me yesterday, actually saying that she went for a walk at Norton Nature Reserve and the orchard, and she was like, they look amazing. So she's like, they look really good. So so we're getting other people have said that as well. So I think they're great, the dead hedges. they really, I haven't seen them at the orchard yet, but yeah. And then 16th of March, we're going to be doing the orchard dead hedge. So it seems like we've been doing a lot of dead hedging, but I think volunteers seem to quite like the projects to see an end to it rather than going shopping and changing. So I think, and people have been really enjoying the dead hedging, and we want to get it completely finished and done and like looking really good. So, and then people can see I saw that whole process through, and involving volunteers at every step of the way is really good. So like, yeah, I think that's really good. The wildflower, sorry Martin, if this is overtaking your
No,
update.
it's good.
That's Martin. I think it would have been great to have a bit more volunteer involvement in that sort of project, especially with it being in West Cross and it being the Bee Friendly Streets then. But I think to get a little bit more community involvement and to advertise it a bit more, me and Martin had a chat and we were talking about some signs. Martin sent me a really good case study of wildflower verge that kind of like inspired how we did the planting. And I think the way that Martin's done the planting, I'm sure he'll explain it a bit better than me, is instead of sowing seeds, we've done plug plants. The whole process behind it, which I'll let Martin explain because it confuses me. But obviously, basically, you have to plant wildflowers, you need to have nutrient deficient soil, and the process that Martin's gone through will ensure that, but it will take a little bit longer than putting turf down, sorry, not seeding turf, and it won't look as vibrant and pretty as soon. So because of that, I think it's important that we have a bit of a sign with the Bee Friendly Streets logo on it, explaining what we've done and the process that we've gone through and the benefits of it. And why we've not gone for turf. Yeah, and then also we'll probably need to put a sign up there to stop council from mowing it. I have told Swansea Council that we've done it, and I've told them exactly where it is, but I still think it's nice to have a sign up to be like.
And I've also separately, as the city councillor, reinforced the message.
Because the case study that mine sent me was that it said wildflowers don't mow me, and I think that was quite nice.
Yeah.
So yeah, having a bit of sign for that. And then Thursday's Green Heroes event went really well. 12 people signed up, but 28 people came, which was really good, really nice surprise.
Yeah.
It was kind of like I thought when I started speaking, I got some time left, but then it was filled with really good questions from the audience, so it was really well. Yeah, so thanks for that.
Well done. All the credit for it.
There were two things that came out of it that I want us to not lose sight of. One, because they were ideas, and that was the purpose, right? Was to. So one was the idea of the message "wash and squash."
Oh yeah, I love that.
Going on the side of Swansea Council bin lorries. So just to say that I will take that.
Yes, it's cool, isn't it? The suggestions from people.
Yeah. So Chris said, well, we've got the wherewithal to advertise things on the side of bin lorries, and sometimes we do. And then somebody else said, well, what about the message "wash and squash"? Because people wash, and then it gets just gets whatever across the street because it's just like a wind kite, isn't it? Basically, empty milk bottles. So anyway, that's one. The other idea that is for us to take forward is the idea of a field trip to the recycling plant to go and look at how your mixed tin cans and glass get sorted. And apparently, it's actually an idea that's come up apparently in MCC before. Because I thought it was my idea and it was great, but it turns out late.
It was your idea.
But Chris said that he was very happy to organise a group. You just need to be the driving force behind getting that group together and agreeing a date and stuff.
What's the maximum number of people?
15, I think.
Right, because I think that could be quite popular.
Yeah, so I'll confirm it with him. But if we're happy to somehow put that in the work plan, because it's a bit of a spin-off, isn't it, from Green Heroes? But I think it was something that people were genuinely interested in.
Yeah.
Yeah, somebody said to me, it wasn't you, Ed, was it, that oh no, it wasn't, it was Christina from the Repair Cafe, that they thought the question about, you know, well, what really happens to this green recycling that all just gets chucked in one bag, had been asked as a bit of a throwaway. And then actually Chris's response was so detailed that it was absolutely fascinating. And this bottle gets siphoned off in this way and this. So yeah, I think people would be keen if we did.
Could you do a little video, do you think,
Of
that?
of the plant working.
Like we're here today, you know,
Yeah.
FCC Environmental Committee, whatever. We're here today to, you know, look at how our waste is separated and recycled.
Yeah, exactly. We definitely could do that. Yeah, so can we just make sure that doesn't get lost? Let's put it on our action, Bessie, and then we can't.
Yeah.
Would you like that action, Rebecca?
Yes, please.
No,
Lydia's action.
I'm so chuffed. I think, you know, this little group, you know, the first one was like the first one. And Matt was so great, wasn't he, doing his talk? And then I think this one has a different feel with, you know, slightly different model. And I think it's really good doing it like that. Make them all slightly different. They have each of their own little purpose.
I think we need to do, I think what would be good if we alternated between sustainability and sustainability. Because it keeps people interested, because more people come to the biodiversity ones, I think, because they're interested, and then other people, you know, come to the sustainability ones because actually they've become interested through the biodiversity ones, I think. So yeah, I think the next one should probably be a biodiversity one, and then the one after that another sustainability action. Just suggesting. But yeah, that's me.
Thanks, Lydia. Any questions, Martin and Martin? Ed? Any questions?
No questions from here.
No.
Okay.
Helen, I'm really sorry. My battery's about to go.
Too. Do you want to do have you got enough? Because I'm just going to hand over to you, Martin. Can you do it? Have you got enough time to do it?
Yeah. Well, got 10%. So be quick.
Fred.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're on mute.
Oh, yes. Sorry, I said over to you.
Over to me. What do you want to hear? What do you want to hear? Do you want to hear about the wildflower planting?
Yes, I was asking questions because we had such a brilliant chat, Martin, the day we met to do something. And, you know, I just find it I learned so much from talking to you. And so I knew you were wondering how you were going to do that wildflower planting. So let's stop there.
Yeah, okay, all right. Well, I mean, so I've been using plant plugs and seed rather than using the wildflower turf that we did originally on the front. And I think it's a better approach. And there's a couple of really good reasons for that. I think part of it is there are two aspects to growing a wildflower meadow. And part of it is just the mowing regime. So that's cutting and picking up, which depletes the nutrition or the fertility of, in this case, the verge. And then there's the plants we plant into it. And a little bit of why I'm excited about it is because with the turf, you just get this instant thing. You just get this transplant, including topsoil. Whereas what we're doing now is we're planting wildflower plugs that are sourced from seed, propagated from the gower. And we're planting those, but also observing what's going to happen over the next couple of years. So it's a kind of 3-year project, really. And you could roll that out over whatever area you decided to rewild. And so really it's a case of seeing what does well, you know, what takes over, what doesn't take over, what does and doesn't do well, which is wholly a different process to what, let's say, the council do along the seafront, where they just essentially create a border and plant annuals that aren't native. So this, I think this will really work well. And I guess it's a case of waiting to see how each year does. I only finished it today, actually, the plug planting, the final little bit. I've been going in and out of the rain and the bad weather. So it's really good to have got to the point where everything's finished.
What's happening over there?
I don't know if you can hear me. I think the signal's going a bit.
Dave's gone. It's just you and me now, Martin.
Oh no, where have they gone, Martin?
I don't know. But I was enjoying it anyway.
I'm sorry. It was very boring.
No, it was very interesting. It was that, I did some. We went in and I did the mowing of the borders before me and Richard. And Richard,
Yeah.
you know, as you know, he was explaining to me all this sort of stuff about how you need to leave all the sort of cuttings there to keep the nutrition in the soil, the flowers.
Do you know, Martin? It's really simple, but it's that. Do you know that thing? So the council just come along and do what they do, which is lovely and very pretty, but it just basically blitzes everything that's there and starts from scratch for 1 year only. But the lovely thing, oh, we're back. But the lovely thing about things,
we were having a lovely conversation. Yeah. Yeah, well, it's a lot better, isn't it, really, than just blitzing it, like as you sort of said. And I didn't realise that they weren't native species either.
Yeah, and so that's the lovely thing, is that using Celtic wildflowers, they're all sourced from the Gower. So everything we're planting is local. And there's something much more satisfying about growing a meadow that might actually belong where we're planting it, rather than imposing it on, let's say,
even though it might look a bit prettier or whatever.
Having said that, it is really nice to see those pretty flowers that the parks and the council plant. But it's about expectations again, isn't it? This is a kind of different expectation.
Yeah. So can I come in there just because? So thank you. That's really excellent update and well done, Martin, for bringing that approach. I know like Carrie and Sarah and others have started that approach, but I think you bring a huge amount of expertise and knowledge and experience to kind of take that approach further. And I really do think it is important to try and articulate. If only we just filmed Martin saying that. He's so passionate.
Well, I've also what we have with this recording. Nice quote that Martin said when we had a meeting about it, and I wrote, he said, I told you, Martin, I wrote it down. I was like, I'm going to include that in the sign. I can't remember what it was. I can't find it, but yeah.
I think this needs to be quite an important thing to explain what we're doing, because we're hoping, Males is next on the list. So next financial year, in 2 months' time, whenever that is, it's Males' turn to do the verge planting, and so it's a longer term piece of work this now, isn't it? So I think we just need to communicate it. Who wants to come in first?
Yeah.
Can I suggest if we're doing signs of any description around the flower beds, to actually say that it's supposed to be your project?
Yeah. Well, yeah,
that's your space kind of thing.
I found what I've said it.
Yes, good idea, Eddie. Yep.
Sorry, I said it ties in with the principles of rewilding by observing what's there and taking a slow approach. I thought that was just a nice thing to say. But yeah, I'll have a play around with wording and signage.
Okay, Rebecca.
So on a serious note, we have just recorded Martin explaining that really well, by virtue of you doing it in this meeting. Obviously, the video footage will be quite dull because it's of a meeting, but if we took some video footage of the plants
Yeah.
You could overlay that audio,
Oh, yeah.
stick it on our YouTube channel with a QR code, pop it on the sign.
Yeah, brilliant. So video footage with audio over. Yeah.
And I would just say, I mean, if it's a 3-year project and it's sort of deliberately supposed to look a little bit, you know,
More natural.
I wouldn't spend months on like a proper professional gorgeous
On
salon.
Yeah, wooden plank.
Yeah, like quick and not so dirty. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, one last point, which was, so I bumped into Martin just finishing off the work, I think, and resident, the beauty of doing it on a verge that is outside a block of flats was that a resident had been watching Martin from her bedroom window
Oh.
and had come down to find out what it was all about. Which I thought was quite different to where we've done it in the past, like it'd be on the prom or whatever. So I just wanted to kind of put that out because we've got 2 more areas and choose where to put their sites. Actually putting it somewhere residential, you get, I think you could get really good engagement.
Yeah, that's a really good idea. So with regards to mail to be next, I would probably just message Tim and Chris, ask them for their views, as well as anybody else who wanted an input, but to make sure they fed some views in.
Yeah.
Oh, and Amelia, sorry, gosh, I didn't mean to miss him. Okay, brilliant. I'm sure there was one other, I just wanted to pick something up. I think it was this about the communication, which you've covered. And Martin, what else would you like to cover in terms of your update, Martin, groundsperson?
Well, you know, we've kind of covered it all because the dead hedging has been, I mean, one, it's been, just to say, everyone knows, it's been an incredibly wet month. So things like pathways have been really brought to the fore, actually. The pathway through the orchard and so on. So that's, you know, that's a really useful thing to be reminded of, that you know, when it's wet, pathways really do make a difference. So, and the dead hedging's been a big feature of this part of the winter or spring, which is kind of here. And of course, the wildflower planting on the verges, that's taken up most of my time. And there's still, you know, there's still dead hedging to do, and still spring to come.
Photos, because when I was looking at the MCC Facebook page the other day, and I'm not even going to go about the website because we have to pick that up, because I asked Kerry to address it now with SA1, and she said leave it with me, and if I go on the website I'll bet it'll have not changed. It's just how we communicate this, what we're doing is next. When I went on the MCC Facebook page earlier on to check something, you know, all it is coffee with friends, warm hub, coffee with friends, warm hub, coffee with friends, warm hub. And I don't ever see this stuff featuring. And I know we've got our own environmental stuff, but that environmental stuff just talks to environmentalists, doesn't talk to anyone who's just going to go on. So I really would like more of the stuff that you two do to be featuring on MCC's digital presence, because you can have some great photos of dead hedging with an explanation of why we're doing it, and you know, photos of volunteers and all of that. And so I feel like I've raised it a few times, and Kerry said leave it with me. So but I know actually Kerry's got lots of other priorities which are really important, and I don't think the blockage is with Kerry's, it's with the providers. So I just want to kind of reiterate again that I want to see stuff that this committee is interested in, that you two are working on the main digital presence of MCC, and maybe I'll sort of try and take some action to try and make that happen.
Okay.
We've discussed this before. Well, the whole time I've been here, I've been talking about this, whether like officers can get access to that Facebook page, and it's always been a bit of a, they'd rather not us not. I understand why, but then also for a quick update, it just takes. Huh? Does she?
She certainly did at one point.
Well, it just takes a long time to get anything up. So sometimes it's just like, by the time you've got it up, it's irrelevant.
Yeah.
Or I just don't have time to deal with. Sometimes it's like, I'll post it on the environmental stuff, but then it's sometimes I'm already asking quite a lot of SA1 at the same time with like posters and things. So it's like, if I ask them for that as well, it's just going to make the posters take longer.
Even if it's,
Picking your battles a little bit.
you know, twice a year, we have content on there. I don't know, twice a year is nothing, is it? My God, it should be far, far, far more than that. Is this something else I'm going to pick up, Martin? Is that okay, Martin, share? Is that okay if I pick this up again?
Definitely, you know, it's all these things. I think it's very important that when there's issues like this, people highlight them, and you know, let's look for solutions to these problems, isn't it? So yeah, you know, these things need to be taken forward, and I'd be more than happy to talk to you as well, because I very much agree that I think it's very important that we get the environmental stuff to go through all levels of MCC activity. To be honest, I think that's vitally important. So you know, I'd be more than happy to talk to you. And you know, I think that we can talk about that when it comes into how we put these guidelines together, to how we prioritise grants.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks. I think it's all linked. Thanks, Martin. Ian's trying to come in.
I just wanted to say, I've been doing the minutes now and the agendas up level them myself. And the last month I've been doing the recordings as well. So
yeah,
I sat with Chris, who Kerry employed to assist me with this IT stuff. So if you'd like me to sort of update it rather than go through SA1, if I'm able to, I'd be happy to do that. If that would.
Yeah.
Well, if they've given you access as a point of principle, I think
I have got access. I've got the admin access to the website.
Yeah.
Which I have for the other aspects.
Yeah. So I think that's really kind, Ian. I think if they've given you it, I think there's no reason why Lydia couldn't have it, because it would just be easier for you to do it. I mean, it's only Facebook, isn't
I'm
it?
getting to the point though, it's like I'm doing their job for them all the time. What are we paying them for sometimes? Like,
yeah.
Well,
That's what I'm saying, really. I think, you know, obviously there is an issue here. I think it's important that we address it as an organisation, not just individuals going off and doing things. And, you know, we need to do it with SA1 as well. And if there is a problem there, I'm meeting with Kerry tomorrow morning first thing, and I'll bring it up with her then.
Thank you. Thanks, Martin. That's brought us to the end of the agenda. I'm afraid that we are 16 minutes over, but we did start slightly late. Any final comments before I close for the night? Anyone's got anything urgent?
just thank you for sorting things out. But yeah.
Well, you're allowed to do that at a lovely time. Thanks so much. Thanks, Martin. I'll pick up with you both separately. Thanks, Martin.
Yeah.
Thanks, Helen. Thank you.
Thanks
Night,
for
Ian.
Thank you.
Martin, hope you're feeling
Bye-bye.
better, Martin. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Not recording.
No.
Just hover and then.
Let's hang on, let's get there again.
It is actually lower.
I've got mouse.